You may have noticed, but ads are annoying and manipulative at the same time. But I think that decoding and dissecting ads makes them more fun to sit through overall, and it also takes away some of their persuasive power. Advertising is obvious, and I'm not buying it. Hello, welcome. This is a channel where I make fun of marketing and talk about the urge to buy things that we don't need in the hopes of encouraging people not to buy things they don't need. Sound good? Okay, let's go for it. My motivation here is to make you even more cynical about advertising and to remove at least some of the power of all these brands that insist on gobbling up our mental real estate and creating squads of unpaid internet users who will defend them against all criticism. That's a topic for another day. Today, this is just about the basic ingredients of video advertising, as in commercials. Overall, commercials are corporate skits about a product or a service that they want you to spend money on. They're generally unfunny, actively annoying at times, and extremely repetitive as well because of how they're scheduled out, whether it's on traditional TV or a streaming service or here on social media. But I find it helpful and kind of fun to analyze commercials and think about how they came to be in the first place. Unless we're talking about an ad for like a local carpet store, TV and streaming commercials are very expensive to make and very expensive to air. A lot of money goes into these things, despite most of commercials coming across as low effort. Nothing in a commercial happens by accident. Everything is by design. The casting, the writing, the visual composition, and the soundtrack are all put in place to convince a certain group of people to spend money on something. Once you know the basic components of a commercial, you can easily identify those components out in the wild and ask yourself who paid for all this and why. It really is like dissection. I think it's a useful metaphor. From frog to frog, the organs may be different sizes, but all of the same organs are there. So, what are the internal organs of ads? Basically, it's three parts. Again, very simple perspective here. We have the target audience, the messaging, and the execution. Let's start with target audience. Like a lot of marketing terms, target audience is blunt. It is who the advertisers are aiming for, as if with a bow and arrow or a gun that makes you spend money. And a target audience is defined by one or more key characteristics. So, you might have one commercial might have a target audience of men between the ages of 18 and 34 who own a car. And a different commercial might have a target audience of women over the age of 50 who earn more than $100,000 a year. Target audiences are directly related to the brand in question, but a brand can easily have multiple target audiences that they access through different ad campaigns or different marketing channels. So a quick 10-second video ad on Instagram would probably be a better way to target teenagers, whereas that same brand would air a 30-second commercial on broadcast TV when targeting middle-aged consumers. And of course, the actual content of those ads and presentation would be very different. Okay, so how can you identify the target audience of a specific commercial? Just find the protagonist and you're done. The main character of an ad almost always represents who the advertisers are trying to reach. They will almost always be the very first person you see as well. These are meant to be sympathetic characters in a narrative sense. And as humans, we generally find it easiest to relate to people who are similar to us in one or more ways. I'll talk about messaging in a little bit here, but in general, the protagonist of a commercial is shown to be a good match for the product or the service being sold, and vice versa. The advertisers want to create positive associations between their target audience and the thing that they're selling. They might also want to create negative associations between their target audience and the competition. Example, Think of the old Mac guy and PC guy commercials with John Hodgman. Kind of weird to think that's John Hodgman, right? At the time, I was like, this is just a guy. This is a guy from a commercial. Anyway, with these ads, Apple of the time, as a company, was saying very clearly that this over here was the kind of person who they wanted to buy their stuff. A young, kind of hip guy with probably above average income. He's obviously not some kind of nerd. He doesn't know how computers are made. He doesn't know how they work. They're just a necessity to him and his very cool lifestyle.
I might make a home movie or maybe create a website, try out my built-in camera.
The ads imply heavily that computers, or Macs specifically, are just a tool that help this man do very important graphic design work, probably.
Well, it looks like a lot of work anyway, thanks.
Actually, that was really easy, just a few clicks on iPhone.
Or I don't know, sit in a coffee shop and write screenplays about the timid children of a third-generation carousel repairman. That seems like his vibe, don't you think? People in a similar position to this character, or, very importantly, people who want to be in a similar position, can relate to this character, and the commercial makes them feel good for being the way that they are. It's affirmation.
And you know what happiness is? It's a billboard on the side of the road that screams with reassurance that whatever you're doing, it's okay.
Simultaneously, Apple was showing you who wasn't in their target audience, which is the stuffy, nerdy guy who comes across as a relic of the past, just a leftover from the days when computers were most common in boring business settings. There's also the added appeal of exclusivity. This is not a product for everyone. It's only for certain people. And that appeals to specific target audiences, especially audiences that think very highly of themselves. So there it is, target audience. That's who the commercial is for. Let's move on. Messaging section. It's going to be a little bit longer. Buckle up. Messaging is actually a pretty complex subject within advertising overall, but just the very basics today. Almost every commercial that you and I see has a simple message. You want/need this. But as a brand, you can't just say that outright to your target audience. I mean, that's been tried kind of in a self-aware, jokey way, but most often the advertisers will try to make some kind of argument to support that messaging. Here's why you want/need this product or service. For our purposes today, there are two extremely common arguments that brands use to accomplish this, and I find them both very interesting. Argument one, you want/need this product or service because it will help you become the person you want to be. Argument two, you want/need this product or service because it complements, it fits the person you already are. Please note that both arguments are strongly rooted in the connection between product and personal identity, which is a very big topic that I would love to get into some other time. And by the way, it's not real. Maybe goes without saying, your personality is not, it does not consist of the products you buy. Okay, example. So for argument number one, think of ads for like self-improvement products. Exercise equipment, I think, is an obvious choice here. So these ads know that their audience wants to change something about themselves, namely the way they look and feel, appearance, physical fitness. So they tell these people that this product, whatever goofy product it is, can help. We've got just the thing you need. Buy this thing to become the person you want to be.
Bowflex's Power Rod technology delivers results. Powerful arms, defined legs, a stronger chest, and a toned, sexy core. And owning a Bowflex home gym is so affordable. Great results are easy with a new Extreme.
But on the other hand, if you're trying to reach a target audience that's already in shape, you would switch to argument number two. Because for people who already work out, exercise equipment or really nice running shoes or the fancy clothes with the moisture wicking fabric are just the tools of the trade. These products aren't about becoming someone else. They're about maintaining who these people already are, maintaining aspects that they like about themselves.
Maybe strong is just what you have left when you've used up all your weak.
And more than that, specialized products also affirm the feeling of being a member of a specific community. It's not a general all-purpose product. And most of the time, people really like belonging to communities. But we'll talk about commodity communities another time. See all these ideas I have for great videos? It's going to be such a fun time. But, to elaborate on argument 2 a little bit more, let's talk about a different area. Let's talk about luxury products for a minute. So do you remember when I mentioned target audiences that think very highly of themselves? Because that's definitely the general vibe when it comes to ads for luxury products. And I love these kinds of commercials. They're hilarious to me. Maybe I would feel differently if I was super wealthy and I was actually enticed to buy all these fancy things, but I'm not, and I don't. So I laugh. I think most contemporary advertising tends to be at least a little bit self-aware. That's been fashionable for quite a while now, but not in luxury advertising. No way. There is little to no self-awareness. They tend to take themselves very seriously. In particular, ads for luxury brand cars are a gift. Specifically, I've noticed that there have been plenty of commercials in recent years aimed at high-income women in like their 30s or their early 40s. The tone and scripting of these commercials is definitely not about becoming something else. It's really about being satisfied and also kind of smug about who you already are.
Hey!
You really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
So to sum up, messaging is frequently one of these 2 arguments, and you can identify which argument is being made based on the plot of the ad. If it's a story of transformation, then it's probably using argument 1, and if it's a story of affirmation, then it's using argument number 2. Lastly, we have execution. This is going to be pretty quick. The vibe of the commercial. This is all the technical details and how it feels to the viewer. This is the component of video advertising that you're really supposed to notice. Execution is what makes specific ads really dig into our memories. Just take a minute and think of commercials that you happen to remember. It's usually much easier to remember the style of each commercial than the product that it was actually advertising. Execution is there to deliver the messaging to the target audience. It's the digestive tract, so to speak. And between all of the components that we've talked about today, it is probably the most self-explanatory. There is creativity in the execution of advertising sometimes, and there are also plenty of terrible choices that make you question the competence of the people involved.
What's a computer?
It's very common for ads to mimic the style of things that are currently popular with their target audience. And if you can tie an ad directly to the style of like a popular show or a movie or a song or some kind of trend, then you can also get some additional clues as to the target audience if it wasn't already very clear. So there you have it, the 3 most basic, most fundamental components of a video ad. Like I said earlier, these are not difficult things to notice when you start looking, but it is very easy to take them for granted. We've become kind of numb to how ads present themselves and what tactics they tend to use. But paying more attention to the decisions that play behind the scenes is healthy, because ads don't just appear. They are carefully calculated to encourage spending. The problem with that is most of us should be buying less, both for our own sakes and for the sake of the world at large. So the next time you see an ad, pick it apart. Split that frog open and just start asking questions. Thank you so much for watching my video. It's a brand new channel, so please, if you have any interest in the kinds of things that I'm talking about in this video, or the kinds of things that I'll be talking about in the future, let YouTube know. Liking and subscribing is genuinely a massive help, and without that kind of stuff, we're dead in the water. If you don't want to do any of that, fine too. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Until next time, take it easy.